How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and give this thing a review, the International HX520. It was the least voted for when I asked what do you want to review next, but yeah, it's the last one left, so we'll get stuck into it and see. Engine-wise, I've gone for like the third one, so not the bottom one. The bottom one just basically, you lose, like, you go from S plus to S. It looks a bit better on fuel, the engine's probably a little bit less durable. I don't really care about fuel, I've got a goddamn horse with me, so he's got fuel. Yeah, I use a high range gear as usual. There's no suspension other than stock. Tyre wise, again, sadly with the American trucks you don't get a choice of muds or anything like that, so yeah, you got the normal stuff, the sort of highway, all-terrain, off-road or chained, and the chained I believe are the all-terrain with chains. Yeah, 47-inch tyres as well, again not the biggest, they sort of the Taiga and the Dolphin, they're more like 51 inch. The strongest winch, the advanced diff locks, it's got an engageable diff lock. These snorkels, it says makes little to no difference whether you change them or not. I mean, yeah, they sit there, they don't go up to the roof or anything. All-wheel drive, it's cool as well, they've sort of modelled it so it changes, gets a diff on the front and everything. All of these, like the add-ons and everything, there's just about everything except you can't have the seismic vibrator module or the metal. I'm surprised you can't have the metal detector things really, but yeah, I'm not too bothered to be fair. They're pretty rare missions and there's plenty of other stuff that can. For the bumpers, I mean that's the stock one. If you like, that one clearly sticks out more and is lower. I would say that one probably at least sticks out more. That one sits up quite like higher than the stock bumper, but it sticks out more. But overall, to be honest, I quite like the look of it. That's the one I've got on because it just looks quite like a sort of bull bar bumper and everything. You've got a couple of extra lights on the front as well. Not that it really makes any difference, but looks-wise, I do quite like it. All this stuff, I mean, I've put like the colour-coded sun visor thing on, those LED lights, some horns on the roof. The exhaust, to be honest, it doesn't really matter because none of them really smoke. I find it a bit odd with that one. Like, you see when you change to that, you've got exhaust coming out either side of the engine, and then obviously to its own separate thing. That one, they only come out one side to the right, but then they pipe it over to the left. I don't know, it seems a bit of a overcomplicated setup. Yeah, as I said, I would probably just go for the stock one, because if you go for the double ones, it'll block your view a bit when you look behind you in first person view. And again, none of them really smoke enough to where it matters. I believe, yeah, the rims I put like the second one on, I think they just look pretty nice, shiny chrome sort of rims. That was black, grey and white. I think it looks very nice in white. There's something that suits it. I don't know if it's just the shape of the truck or whatever. I ended up choosing there. The red, I don't know, I painted it like that colour, but that to me reminds me more of a cat. So yeah, I just changed it to red there. Yeah, all the colours, sorry, they're, yeah, alright. Like this and the yellow one I think look the nicest. The truck itself I do think is a good looking truck. For me, again, I like the look of just a pure stereotypical American truck really, like with the long nose bonnet and all the rest of it. Like I say, we've got a lot of cab overs over here. View in the cab and everything, pretty good, pretty modern interior. The mirrors, I like that mirror because I can actually see my rear tyre. The one on the other side is sort of a bit of a split mirror and yeah, I can't see a lot anyway. View out the back is good though, you got a rear window. That horn, it makes me slightly ill every time I hear it. It's not a very good horn at all. Yeah, and if I look out the back, like look out the window, sorry, there's plenty of it I can see near enough. All the garage door, and again that exhaust wasn't in the way. It's a bit of a slow revver. I believe it went up to, was it like 1700 in the end or something? I don't think it made it. I think it theoretically goes up to 2.5, but yeah, it won't let you have that. It'll give you about, I assume it will look about halfway between 15 and 20. So probably about 1700, 1750 revs. Trailer wise, I believe just about everything. It's got saddle high, saddle low, and obviously it can tow trailers as well. But it sits pretty low overall. Do you know what? It's got the same suspension again, that like rocker arm rear suspension, and there doesn't appear to be any play in it at all. Well, there isn't. I repaired the suspension, and yeah, it doesn't lift up at all. So it's the same, a little bit like the Cat CT 680 and the 681. So as I come flying out of here, it's not too bad, nice little drift around that corner. At least, like, it didn't sort of dig in and just try and roll immediately. Got over that first bit of mud alright, everything seems to get a little bit slowed down there, so I just stick it in high. And again, well, it's S plus on the power, so it should have enough guts to it, but obviously a lot of it depends on the weight of the vehicle, and to be honest, this thing doesn't really weigh a hell of a lot. It's another one of those sort of, yeah, like an empty crisp packet. type of truck. So, I mean, right now, it's not doing amazing going over this mud because it's just, yeah, it's not got enough weight to plant itself to bite in and sort of tear its way through it. So, low range diffs on, it's going to tick along like pretty much everything at least. But yeah, it's not rapid through here. It does go into high, like you can, even there I did it, it started wheel spinning a bit, so I thought I'd just let it build up a bit of speed first. But yeah, it's very relaxed on the high gear. Not that often you'll see it, say, sort of stalling. Well, a lot of the time I'll probably just pull it out of high gear before it says that, but you know what I mean, like it allowed me to put it in. That's what she said. Tree-wise, hit the first one, that pretty much out all my speed. Again, that's another good sign though that it doesn't weigh a lot. That was in auto, like sort of downhill with the wind behind me, going as fast as I could. That was in high, so it could knock one tree down, which again, I'm not going to lie, I just like running trees over, but it's still quite handy. You might end up in a situation where you need to smash a tree down in front of you because you're just at a bit of an awkward angle. Reversing the trailer can be a bit of a pain, all the rest of it, so yeah, at least it can handle one. That's like the bare minimum to pass. Sort of typical round there, going high, you eventually hit a slower patch of mud. To be fair, it wasn't... I've seen slower through there. I've seen faster as well, but yeah, I wouldn't say that was too bad. And again, once you pass that, sort of drop the hammer, it winds up to speed. Suspension test, I actually took quite a few hits there, and I was like, oh, it's looking like it might be pretty weak suspension. But then you'll see in these ones, are sort of, what I would say is even bigger hits. I don't really take any, but you can see the lack of play, or lack of suspension, it was just flicking my whole back end in the air. Then I got a bit of a dodgy hit. I'll give it a pass on that, because it didn't happen often, but I think that's more the trollish damage mechanics than specifically this. But it didn't help itself, because again, there's not enough, or none really, suspension travel, so yeah, it threw the whole back end in the air, and once that landed back down, that's when it caught it. Anti-terrorist barricade, I started skidding around. I have to say, this thing is one of those trucks where it feels like the back axles are probably going a little bit quicker than the front, and once you start going up to high speed, the back end's always trying to overtake the front end, and you just start squirreling around before long. It's not a very nice truck to drive at high speed. No doubt though, the barrier, like again, I sort of clipped the actual side barrier a bit, but the anti-terrorist barricade probably would have smashed it up. It does with just about everything, to be fair. There's a few exceptions. Pretty boring and slow through the mud. I mean, that's the thing, it does feel... you know, it feels a little bit like that Brigadier, it feels a little bit like the Cat CT 681. It started getting pushed a bit by that current, not that bad, but obviously again, like this is just an example. It's a Stevie Wonder, and yeah, this hasn't got diff locks or anything like that. It's got the same tyres because it can't have the muds or anything, but it's a more weighted, realistic feeling truck. And as you can see, it just looks like... I feel like progress is being made. I feel like the truck is putting an effort in to help me get through that mud. It's not just bleeding it all in wheel spin, because there's enough weight there for it to plant itself in the ground and actually bite its way through the mud. And yeah, that's like I said, no diffs or anything. It had no advantages over this. Well, if anything, this had the advantage. I could drop this in low range with the diffs on, so... But the Navistar was better. Over the barriers, sadly it catches its fuel tanks. Part of the reason is, like, if it had bigger tyres, it would, yeah, obviously the front would reach the floor before it catches the fuel tanks. Apart from that, though, I mean, chain generally do bite the way over the barrier, so once I did use a winch and kind of get the, yeah, the clear of the fuel tanks, the back end was no problem. Same thing here, really. Front had no issues bumping over, but beaches itself again, and then once I'm sort of over that, the back end has no real issues climbing its way over. And that's what, yeah, kind of, well, I mean, to a degree, I'd call that sort of a barrier fail, because without winches it wasn't getting there. I was able to slowly push it forward, like, once I was beached on the fuel tanks, but I was never able to get it to drop back off them. It just, yeah, it sort of scraped down most of the way and then stopped. And yeah, sort of similar story here, cutting through. I mean, I wouldn't say it specifically feels like it's struggling. Does a bit there though when I hit that bush and that tree and that bush. Again, because it weighs so little, they're essentially trying to push what little weight it has off the floor, so now it has even less weight. If you've got a nice fat heavy truck, those bushes and trees just haven't got enough resistance to lift your truck or make any difference. You just full on run it over and yeah, tell his boss. Again, no problem running them trees over. Getting up here though, to be fair, at least the oh yeah, well you'll see in a minute, the turning circle's not that great. That's why I kind of overshot that a bit. Yeah, it was enough nose clearance and everything. I think it thought about beaching, but it didn't. And the chain as well, they were good enough to sort of bite the way up there, and we're good. It did tip there, but I'm gonna slightly put that on me as well, because I was slipping off to the right of the rock, and I just kind of went for it. Thankfully, it landed just beyond sort of like, oh, it wasn't quite at 90 degrees, so I could fire up the engine and winch that post. I'm going for the wall jump. This was the first one I did. I already knew it was going to roll from there, because it was just going to tap one set of axles. Yeah, you can kind of tell there with the way the wheels jiggle, like one goes up as one goes down. That's like that rocker arm suspension thing. Yeah, so I came back though, a bit more of a straighter run, and it made it over the wall, so that's a result. It's good. That was the first bit of the trees there. To be honest, I'm going to cut like a little bit ahead. It got stuck on the trying to get out of here the first time. I reversed up. It does seem, if I go further over to the right as we're looking at it now, more the left when I'm driving, it's a little bit easier to get through, but it didn't have enough guts to push its way past the branches or anything. I had to like thread the gap and sort of, yeah, go for the best spot where it's actually going to make it through. Stuff like the Tiger, I don't know, the Dolphin, yeah, even if they clip a branch, they'll just kind of ram it out of the way for the most part. And yeah, as you can see, that was the second time I'd done it as well. I reversed back up, even did like a little bit sort of fairer on this truck where I already steered before I set off, whereas with other trucks I accelerate and then I start steering. So yeah, definitely a fail there. Worse steering than a lot of trucks in the game, to be honest. All stuff like the Vorons, the Tiger, I don't know, the Navistar, they're all about the same. And yeah, the only thing this is probably better than is the twin steer. And I don't know, a couple of others. Not many though. I mean, this is literally, it's a highway truck. It's a highway truck that someone's bolted a few, you know, off-road upgrades to. Like, it is in no way, shape or form a useful truck for us in Fate, especially in Phase 4. I mean, Christ, this thing can't even handle the base maps, let alone like Erskine River and Northern Aegis and all that. It'd be a nightmare. I mean, yeah, we're beached now, basically. It didn't take too long this time for me to start flinging winches out everywhere, because I already knew what, yeah, how it was looking like it was going to go. I was trying to just winch far enough ahead so I could, like, unbeach the truck off that sort of hump in the middle, and then I got to this point, but now the trailer's pretty much beached on that. So I started winching forward a little bit again. I can't really see that. Oh, there's the route. I don't think that route really catches you anymore. It's like your wheels just sort of drive through it again now. So this is now without the help of a winch, but yeah, you can see, I was just like, oh, hell no. I mean, to be fair, this is what I would do if I was just, you know, if I had to deliver this cargo now. I'd be like flinging winches out all over the place. At least if I can drag myself across here at the speed the winch hoovers its way in, then I'll take it. So yeah, not great across there really, to be honest. Like, even some trucks that might struggle getting beached, I feel like they do a little bit better once they've got to the other side and nothing's dragging. Again with the turning circle, funnily enough, was it the Cat CT681? Pretty much almost the exact same arc going around that corner, just about misses that trailer that's parked there. That trailer that's parked there is actually a pretty good... It's been there for, like, near enough from the start, as you can see. It's one of the first I abandoned, and yeah, trucks with good steering miss it easily. Trucks with bad steering, it's close, so it sort of helps, like a little marker. Going along here, it got into high because it's pretty relaxed with how it lets you engage high, but it can't really... Yeah, it's not got enough bite to it to bite in and actually, like, fly up into a proper high speed. A lot of trucks now would just say stalling. but some trucks would actually speed up to the high gear speed. The old Business Empire, though, it's looking pretty good. I'm definitely running out of space by the end of Season 2. Probably have trailers going down here and everything. I'm willing to make that sacrifice, though. I mean, it was like, well, when they added that delete trailers option, it'd be nice if they just added a recover trailer option. I'd be rich, I tell you. Wouldn't need no more money glitches. In fact, that's what half the reason I needed money glitches. To pay for my disgusting habit of leaving trailers all over the place. Yeah, fits through that gap, that's what she said, but it's a pretty normal, average-sized truck, so going through there, it's more like, you know, the P16, the Collobs, the Zix, those sort of things that, well, unless they've got some muscle, they're going to struggle. P12 didn't like going through there, if I remember at the Derry. God damn, that didn't like going through there. P16, not even all-wheel drive. Couldn't fit through there. Floor it, drop the hammer, and it made it. Had enough power to it. So you can see there, though, going down those snowy lanes, I mean, that's the thing. It can handle tarmac roads and very light off-roading on, like, solid dirt roads, or in this case, with a snowy map, these little sort of, yeah, where you can actually see, like, tyre tracks have already been made. And that's about it. Everything else, as you can see, just drove over a bit of super snow, and it was super slow. That tree, the bonnet doesn't really get in the way that much, but it did block a little, just the bottom slither of the tree, so... But overall, not bad, didn't bother me. It's got enough, like, window and everything above it and all that it doesn't feel like you're... a few of the cabs, yeah, especially when you put sometimes those sun visor things on. It makes a really narrow window, and it's, I don't really like that. This one's close, but it's all good. And again, after that little bit, you get into, like, snowy tracks, and it went forward. That bit's super snow, so it goes slow. Ground clearance wise, the bumper did look pretty good. It's got some pretty nice height to it for what it is. And yeah, it didn't even... Oh, there's a little glitch there, apologies. Yeah, it didn't catch its bumper or anything like that. And again, to be fair, I mean, it's not great by any stretch of the imagination. But it's a little bit quicker than some others have gone over there, so can't fault it for that. And then yeah, set off pretty normally down here to the little rock bridge test. I like driving over this. Had enough ground clearance there, even though it's got the 47-inch tyres. I was bobbing around a bit, but I am also feathering the throttle in high range, and it never stalled or anything. I got away with a few pretty low speed, sort of just, yeah, drop the hammer again, and it wound back up in high. And as well, to be fair here, I mean, again, certainly not amazing or anything like that. I wouldn't be bringing it down here out of choice, but it is a little bit faster than some other trucks. I believe the Cat CT681 was slower than that. When I drove over that tree stump and it went between my rear axles, it got hooked on it. Which is, yeah, I'm not keen on that. Got over there though, no real issues, didn't start boating over to the right, which some of them do. But that's probably because it just doesn't weigh a lot, it didn't really punch its way through the snow very much. Yeah, this is the old Devil's Mud test. I was already kind of surprised it made it this far, to be honest. However, I'm going to cut ahead a bit. You can see the little track I took in, and it obviously looks like a bit of an odd angle. I hadn't used a winch at this point. However, since I've done Phase 4, there is like a little bug in this game. I was, I believe, making it under my own steam, albeit very, very slowly, but you can see the back end start to slide out now, and look, when I let the accelerator off, that's it. It's the truck's slowly moving forward and sideways on its own, so I can't truly test and know if it would just get stuck, or if that little bit of movement is just enough to break the mud in front of it and it can keep moving. Yeah, beaching, I mean, I'll just say it now, it did not do well in these mountain tests. It beaches pretty easily. That's literally there where I just stuck it in high. Thankfully it's very relaxed with going in high, and I had to kind of Free Willy jump it. See now, not only is it beached again, but then I go to reverse, because it's got like, it doesn't look like that much, but there's sort of the metal and the rear bumper sticking out behind the rear axles. That's now dug into the back. I edited it out. I was stuck there for about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Had to sort of, yeah, move over to the left a bit, and I got up that. And then this bit is usually like the secondary sort of nose test, really. And again, no issues as far as that goes, but I beached again. And this time I was stuck there for about a good minute. I nearly was like, oh, sod it, I'll just send in Dolphin and Loaf or something, but then it moved. As you can see, it's probably, yeah, slightly closer to night time than it was when I got stuck. Well, that's a glitch there, I apologise, but thankfully it cut out the crap bit and left the good bit. I'll take it. Yeah, to be fair, it's not terrible for making it back to its wheels. Like, what little weight there is appears to be lower down than it is higher up, so that's sort of quite nice in that sense. As you can see, I was steering right a lot of that. It wasn't really digging in very much, so it's kind of forcing me to go over that way. And normally what I do is sort of drive up here, go along to the left, try and balance along the peak of that and drop down a little bit and see if I can stay balanced. But long story short, I had 4 or 5 goes. It can't get up there. It beached every time, everywhere. So yeah, abort mission. See them tree stumps? Looks like, yeah, some kind of Mr. Miyagi shit on it. He doesn't like them tree stumps. I don't blame him. I have to say, considering it's S+, I don't think it doesn't feel that powerful to me. I don't know if it's because they've overdone it on the rev caps. That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I don't know, and especially the fact that it's very light. I mean, that's obviously how it got its S+ rating, but point being is, you know, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's quite an S+ feeling engine. Like, I don't even think the Navistar is S+. I don't even think the Navistar's S, and that feels like it's got bundles more power than this. But again, the Navistar isn't S+ power to weight because it has weight to it, so it's like, it's just a stupid statistic. Like, just give us the weight and the brake horsepower and the torque. It's so much easier. Like, the whole rating system in this game's like just stupid, really. Same with the tyres, sort of whatever it is, crap, medium, good and excellent. Like, just give us the number statistic so I can see if it's better or worse than another tyre. Yeah, I cut out a bit driving through that mud up there because I don't want everybody to die of old age while we wait to get through that. I cut nearly a minute out just to get through that mud, and the loaf has obviously given it a little boost of encouragement from behind. Goddamn horse of a vehicle. Get yourself a loaf. Even through here, to be honest, I think that's pretty bad. I think even the Brigadier and the Cat CT 681 was just about able to plod along in high range there. Probably not at full speed, but they were kind of bouncing their way through a little bit. This thing was just not liking it. I could have put it in high range, but it would have just near enough wheel span on the spot. So yeah, it wasn't really worth it. Can you just hear the engine out? It doesn't sound like there's a lot going on. Again, it's like well, it is near enough, just over tick over. When I went through the Black Valley River, it'll be at 600 RPM now in low range. Which, would you rather that sound or this? Which, yeah, it was sounded a bit mad because I assumed they were recording it on a phone and it sounded like it was about blowing the speakers of whatever was recording it. But I think that sounds a lot better. Not that I'd want that all the time, and you can turn the truck engine noises up and down, but yeah. again, this thing sounds pretty relaxed about the whole situation. See, that's why I had to put a goddamn horse there. My little mobile winch point. I would have lost my cargo if he wasn't there. And again, you have to get reasonably level before it'll let you repack, but we're all good. Forgot I was supposed to put it in low range with the diffs on. Well, in auto, I mean, that clears that up. Not very good. Low range with the diffs on though, it started digging in. I thought it would beach now, and it was bloody close. You can see it, think about it. I think it touched the floor, but not quite enough. Then it also managed to pull, which I've said it, I mean, it's the same in the Cat CT 680 and 681 video. When they have this rocker arm suspension, it seems to do better than you'd think on, like, those quarry hills are pretty much solid mud. Like, if you keep driving up and down and all the rest of it, you will chew it up, but for the most part it's just relatively solid ground. And yeah, that rocker arm suspension thing seems to do oddly well. There, I got stuck on a little bloody rock, so I eventually winched to that just to pull me over it. I tried 3 or 4 times, it was just having none of it. But I wanted to keep this video shortish. I've managed to get it under 40 minutes, which I'm pretty happy about, because yeah, I mean, for the most part it's not a terrible truck, but it's not a great truck. It's just a bit of an average vanilla truck that I don't think I'll really be using after this review. Like, I've got no reason to use it. There's not only much better trucks, but yeah, it doesn't really do anything. Well, again, it does a lot of things, just average. Send me a little loaf, of course. Where's my little loaf hole? That's the one. And that back end drops, you know you're in business. But again, what's better? Seeing that when it goes back to normal, it's like, oh my god, is that thing even on tick over? Which it, yeah, pretty much is. Like I said, I reckon it idles at probably, it wouldn't surprise me if it was about 400 or 500. It only lets you go to 600 when you're in low range with the diffs on. It's brutal. So, it had to climb that hill though. Well, for the most part, it got to that point, which is better than a lot of trucks. Its rear axle then clipped that rock that's on the right. That's what kind of swung its nose over to the loaf, but it could reach the tree from there. Yeah, that rock right there is a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest. I kind of wish it wasn't there. I don't mind the difficulty aspect of it, and they've put a tree here that you can winch to. It's just, if that rock wasn't there, I'd be able to see better which vehicle could actually make it up on its own. A lot of vehicles that even sort of can get up kind of get hampered by that rock, and it just, yeah, sort of ruins it a little bit. But so if it's like, Jesus Christ, watch my loaf, why don't you? Yeah, turning circle again, pretty crap, so it completely missed trying to make it around that little corner there. But you see now, it's like S plus on the power, really? I'm like, come on, god damn it, you're on pretty solid ground, it's about level. In the end, let's sod it, stick it in high, fingers crossed, see what happens. It's sped up. Go back in auto now, because you can sometimes get a bit of extra speed down here. Put it back in high about now, because that mud slows you down. Just about enough to clear. It didn't really catch the trailer properly, didn't catch its nose, so off-road cargo delivery. Not bad. I'll cut it now. I tried to go up that hill, not a goddamn chance. It beached. And I jumped the loaf off the top diving board, but the bloody footage glitched. Yeah, ice test again, because it weighs as much as, I don't know, a human soul or something. Yeah, it can drive over the ice. But it does appear to break it a little bit as well. Like, you can see there, it definitely broke it. You wouldn't be going back over the ice. That didn't look too bad. Ice got away relatively scot-free. Now, so I thought, right, I'll drive down it. Started well, but I think its front tyres broke a bit, and yeah. So you can probably just skip little bits and stuff, but I wouldn't want to be on it for prolonged periods of time. And it did look for a second there like it was going to slowly creep forward, but it was only until one of the ice blocks caught the fuel tank, etc. Yeah, sent it in a twin steer just to try and give it a little nudge out of there. Oh no. Oh yes. See myself a goddamn horse on the horizon. Basically, long story short, I arrived with the twin steer and the loaf, ran that thing over, the twin steer got beached on it, the loaf was on the twin steer, so I got him off, he saved the twin steer rammed it again, and here we are. I know this is random, but normally when you press up on the D-pad it starts at the top of the menu, attach winch. It's done it for a little bit now, where when you press up on the menu it'll start on some random thing, so I turn the engine off instead of attaching the winch. I'm sort of getting used to it now, where you just open the menu, close the menu, and then the second time you open the menu, it's at the top again, at attach winch. But of course, this is why you get yourself a loaf. I mean, he has to go in and save the day, as usual. He's not even got chained on. He's in his loafing slippers, but he still gets it done. So, pulled that out, and then I was like, well, let's chance it. Go, 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 loaf! Drop that hammer. Yes, see? Told you can make it across ice. But it is sketchy, I'm not going to lie. I just knew I was close enough to the twin steer that worst case I'll just fling a winch out and I'll get out of there anyway. So then of course he had to rescue the twin steer. Well, he didn't have to, but he's going to. Even though I only rescue it, and then I hit recover on it anyway. That's not the point. This is like his training. This is how he became loaf trained. Yeah, it was random, but there's enough kind of spare chassis space that I can pop a loaf on. But, well, had to find something it could do that was good. Jeff Special, take it out of high gear and it was driving along, slap that ice, hit a R87, what a place to park a R87, they deserved it. Yeah, jumped in air. I mean, not only did it float, but look, when it rolled over to its side, it's like it landed on something. The front sort of jiggled as if it had landed, but it's clearly still floating. Like, that's how little it weighs. A lot of vehicles that float, when you tip them sideways, they sink. So, yeah. I actually was surprised that I thought it'd start floating now. That current's, yeah, it's pulling me around a little bit. Not too bad though. I mean, it made it over there reasonably well. I wouldn't worry too much if I had to cross that river again in this. This stuff though, super mud. It ain't like that. Stuff like the Zix just drive through there at basically normal speed. This thing will just crawl slow. I mean, that horn, god damn. It's embarrassing. Every time I kept pressing it, I was like, oh, why did I have to ruin it for myself? I didn't want to hear that thing again. Quick go at the mountain. I mean, again, the good news is I was able to put it in high range pretty easily and carry enough speed. Well, it's got the chain, so it's not too bad on these rocky bits. We got there. Probably a little bit of thumbnail opportunity. We'll see. I'll flick through and see what tickles my fancy. Yeah, going down the runway though. Tried the old Jeff Special, just sort of a speed test again. Oh yeah, tried that time with without turning all-wheel drive off. Yeah, not as liking it as much. I really don't like that post. However, slap those ramps back up and use them. I mean, that was, I respect it. There's definitely some loaf training involved there. Yeah, this post, I honestly hate it. Look at it. It's like, do you know how many hours of my life that post has wasted? And I don't care if I'm wasting them jumping trucks off cliffs. That's my time to waste. It's not my post time. I mean, it's not that post time. Yeah, and then look, this truck drifted again because it squirrels a lot. Trying to get it to go straight and not hit that post was pretty difficult. Twice it knocked my aviation fuel. I had to keep turning the game off. I was like, oh hell no. Do you know how hard it was to get aviation fuel up there? Not easy. Well, it was like the closest to a good run I did where it Jeff Specialed and it didn't quite fully drift and everything. So I went to go with the loaf. It just decided to do a flip before it even barely made it off the cliff, so it disconnected the winch. But it was quite a good... Well, I mean, again, this thing weighs nothing. It's practically a waste of the loaf's time to even attempt it, but he's got a job to do, and he's going to do it. First, he's got to get down there. Which, as we all know, he's a goddamn professional. Of course he's going to get down there. I mean, look at him. He's got to keep himself entertained somehow, because trying to flip things that weigh less than, I don't know, human emotions. I was wondering now, when I went, I was like, what, is there a winch point? Like, 2 at the front? I didn't think there was. Long story short, I must have winched the login trailer. But yeah, I mean, like just not really a lot to it. Yeah, like I said though, it floats, so I can't really do a normal drowning test, which I suppose is probably quite beneficial. You see, at least in this case, the snorkels that are on it don't go to the roof, but they don't need to. It's funny when you get a vehicle that floats and then they give you upgradable snorkels that go up to the roof, and it's like, why? Because do you not know that your own vehicle floats and doesn't need extended snorkels? And I don't know what the answer to that question is, to be honest. Kind of being facetious and rhetorical when I said it, but I actually would like to know myself now. Do they test their vehicles? So yeah, take me low for a walk. I mean, to be fair, it's not as good as like the Voron grad through here. What was the Brigadier? That was pretty solid going through here. The Cat CT681 was probably nearer this. I mean, you can see, follow the oil slick. We don't worry about none of that. And polar bears will have to move. This is my sea and land now. I've claimed it. I've claimed it. Yeah, well, as you can see, I mean, it's not rapid through here, but you can just about make it. Life's gone in submarine mode. And that's one nice thing. I don't like the fact that every time you change vehicle, the engine is turned off. Apparently that is some kind of bug that they're going to sort, which is good. I wish they could sort it now, though. But I do like, overall, that I can just press square now and turn the engine on and off. Because there was times when I, like, in theory, could winch a loaf over here, but it'd start its engine, go in the water, and then half drown its engine, and it had repairs and all the rest of it. But what I used to do sometimes was just transfer the fuel out of the loaf into whatever truck I'm with, and just make it like that way where the engine's stalled, so at least now you can just turn it on and off. And there's no faffing around. So yeah, well, I made it. Which might come in handy here and there. I could still steer as well when the front was clearly floating a lot. And up here though, it beaches. And I know, because I did it twice. I did this earlier, I did end up saving the footage, but I forgot that. I thought I hadn't saved the footage. So I came and did it again. And the first time I sent the loaf up and it towed it up. This time, Loaf's such a goddamn horse. See, Loaf training the second time he knew. So he gave it a little extra boost from the back and unbeached it from behind. Sounds like some kind of euphemism, but we'll move on. Yeah, well, a little reward I get to jump off here. To be fair, the Loaf, I should have left a little bit of slack in the winch. He's like he didn't really have much choice in the matter. See, he rolls over, but he's like, nope. I'm back. Here's Johnny Loaf. Yeah, well, I suppose recover. I mean, that's about it. Hit the garage. And yeah, in conclusion, yeah, like I said, probably already know by now, it's not the worst truck, but it certainly, definitely isn't the best. It feels very average vanilla. I just can't see any reason why I would want to drive it anywhere. There's not really anything it does that's unique or good. It's not amazing on fuel, but it's not bad on fuel, etc. It's not great in mud. It's not terrible in mud. It's not great in snow, but it's not terrible in snow. It's just that, yeah. It's bloody expensive as well. Look at it. Is that like 213 grand or something? Or it's 40 grand more than a bloody fully upgraded twin steer. It's ridiculously expensive for what it can do or lack of. I mean, it's dearer. It's the fully upgraded GMC 9500 is 60 grand. It's nearly 4 times dearer than that. It's dearer than nearly double the cost of a Tega. It's over double the cost of an ANK. Like, yeah, that's way too much money. If it was 113 grand, I'd say, yeah, that's not great. I mean, look at its stock at 107. That's nearly as dear as a fully upgraded Derry. Now, I appreciate the Derry is a piece of crap, so that's a bad example, but you know what I mean. Like, a fully upgraded Dolphin is about 120 grand. It's almost double the cost of a Dolphin. And would I rather 2 Dolphins than this? Yes. I'd rather 2 Dolphins than 10 of these. So yeah, I mean, that's it. It's nah. Not great. I won't be using it a lot. Maybe I'll force myself every now and then for footage. Yeah, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf, and I'll be back soon.